William Gash Willard purchased a plot of land on the unincorporated outskirts of O'Fallon, Illinois, and established a stove manufactory in 1896. Willard, the enterprising businessman, subsequently built a series of houses for his employees and families to reside in over the next decade and a half. One such house built by Willard was 109 Betty Lane, then Willard Road, in O'Fallon, Illinois. The residence is a single-family, 1.5-story dwelling in a simplified vernacular Gothic Revival style built in 1914. William Gash Willard was an American-born entrepreneur, born in New York in 1852. When Willard was 11, his family left New York and moved to New Jersey to live and work on a farm. Unhappy with his living situation, Willard eventually ran away from home, finding work driving mules during the construction of the Jersey and Erie canals. Afterwards, Willard then moved to McLean County, Illinois, to work again as a farmhand until he gained employment as a construction worker working on the Eads Bridge construction project between 1867 and 1874. After working in construction, Willard worked in production and sales, selling assorting metallic manufactured items for the home, such as bed springs. And in 1904, Willard was successful enough in these ventures to buy out his business partner and turn all of his energies towards the establishment of a stone manufacturing industry in downtown St. Louis at 219 Chestnut Street, which is also known as the Thomas Knapp Building, built in 1877. However, Willard likely sought a cheaper and larger production space to grow his manufactory and business, and in the mid-1890s, he moved his business to O'Fallon, Illinois, purchasing property from a prominent local family, the Van Courts, who had previously used the land for a farming and mining operation. Willard settled on building the Willard Steel Range Company on land alongside today what is known as First Street and Betty Lane. It became a successful business enterprise, employing hundreds of locals, and continued to operate even after the 1919 death of William Willard, when his sons took over the company and changed the company name to Eureka Steel Range Company, where they continued operations until 1935, when the company went into receivership as a result of the Great Depression and was restructured under a different name. However, by 1941, the company was entirely liquidated as a result of inadequate profits. Despite the ultimate closure of the plant, the legacy of the Willard family and stove manufactory has continued through the construction of at least 23 homes by William Willard, beginning in 1896 until his death in 1919. Willard situated his houses around the factory, and the neighborhood was commonly known as Willard Station or Willard Town by local residents. The homes were constructed inside the factory by farmers who had idle time during the winter months, who were employed as carpenters. While in warmer weather, basements were dug and foundations were laid, the houses were rolled out of the plant onto their bases. The houses were initially owned by the Willard family and rented to employees. However, the homes later became family homes to various Willard descendants. Betty Lane is currently the site of 8 of the 23 houses built by the Willard Steel Range Company, and until 2015, the house at 109 Betty Lane was still owned by the descendants of William Willard. After the death of Willard, his last will and testament states that he bequeathed his wife, Augusta, all of his land holdings, including the residence and steel range. In December of 1928, Augusta sold 109 Betty Lane for a single dollar to her son Napoleon Bonaparte Willard. According to the census records, it would then be reasonable to suggest that Napoleon actually rented the residence at 109 Betty until he purchased it in 1928 from his mother, where he had been renting in the same street for the decade prior. And in 2015, the house transferred from William G. Willard's great-grandchildren to its current resident, Brian Mason, who purchased the property. The house at 109 Betty was erected using a stacked plank wood frame construction method, entirely sheathed in both the interior and exterior of the plank frame construction with sheets of mixed metals, but primarily consisting of steel, and tin, metals believed to have been purchased from the St. Louis World's Fair. The story-and-a-half residence exterior architecture is a simplified Gothic Revival style. Gothic Revival experienced a broad wave of popularity between 1840 and 1860, largely as a result of the work of Andrew Jackson Downing, who advocated for the ideal of the cottage villa in a picturesque, rambling, and irregular design. The Gothic Revival was known for its organic approach to design rather than any particular type of stylistic embellishment. Since the residence at 109 and at least 22 others were constructed inside of a factory and located or clustered around the factory, this connection to the organic and natural through the use of Gothic Revival style may have been an attempt to soften the hardness of the surrounding area. It may have also had the effect of naturalizing the materials, such as the entirely human-made metal sheeting used to encase the entire residence. The use of the Gothic and metallic also lends to another idea of the Gothic Revival, which attended to the rational shaping of space. This turn towards rational shaping is evident through the use of solid, long-lasting materials and a lean towards an organic style of design throughout the use of Gothic Revival elements, despite the use of factory-made metallics and being located next to a factory. The Gothic Revival style of the house is most dramatically displayed through the presence of porch ornamentation and a vertical compound or cross gable roof with two side gables and a single front central gable. The design of the porch similarly leads to these Gothic Revival stylistic elements. It extends 8 feet from the front of the house and runs about 30 feet across the entire front of the residence. Decorative battens in an arched style draw the eye upward and out across the front porch and up to the central front vertical gable, creating both a horizontal and vertical movement of the eye, which gives the impression of a larger house. From the street, the house appears to be set up as if it is a 4x4 two-story residence, but is actually only a story and a half. The second level of the residence only runs along the front of the residence over the two front rooms, while the rear of the residence, which contains the kitchen and likely a dining room, is only a single floor, making the house approximately 1,400 square feet, as opposed to the visual representation of it being 1,800 square feet. 109 Betty Lane signifies not only a novelty in architecture through the use of metallic exteriors and the use of the Gothic Revival style, it stands as an example of the work industrialists throughout the 19th century undertook to develop the ideal version of community, finding ways to integrate business, home, and pleasure like many other company towns that exist across the country at the turn of the century.